how's it going? My name is Jamie and I am starting a booktube channel. So I've seen on booktube that this video is kind of like a get to know the booktube person and just kind of figure out why they started the channel, all that. So why I wanted to start this channel was because I've been thinking about it for the last couple years, and here lately it's just been one of those, why not just start your YouTube channel? So here it is. I don't think I'll bring anything unique or different to what's on booktube now. Mostly what I want from this channel is just to connect with you guys and talk book things, because I don't have a lot of people in my life that I can really talk to about books besides on Instagram, Goodreads, and TikTok. And I'm not on TikTok very much because I'm not big on TikTok books. But that's a story for a whole other day. Some of the other questions that I have is, when did I start reading? I see that question a lot, and to be honest, I can't remember when I last started reading, or when I started reading per se. I've asked my mom this, and she said ever since I learned to read, I always had a book in my hand. But I can say that Junie B. Jones, Magic Tree House, Harry Potter, and the Chronicles of Narnia were what really got me into reading. And I find I'm definitely a fantasy girly. I love fantasy, but I can read pretty much any genre. I do tend to stay away from like dark romance because that's just not my cup of tea. Anything with a lot of spice in it, not my cup of tea. I do lean more towards clean romance and fantasy. I would say clean romance and fantasy are probably my two biggest genres that I read a lot in. But like I said, I can read almost any genre. I am starting to get more into sci-fi, which well, I don't know. Do you call dystopia like a subgenre of sci-fi? Because if so, then I have read a lot of sci-fi, but it was like the dystopian, and it's definitely along the line of Hunger Games and like Princess Trials, that kind of thing. I love the game aspect, but I would definitely say Hunger Games opened that door for me. But, another thing, sorry, I wrote down my questions, and I kind of just hit 3 in a row. But, I have a couple different books around me to kind of share, like a little bit more on my reading tastes. So, my favorite books of all time, I don't have the third one down right now, but I do have 1 and 2, and that is the Lord of the Rings series. Right now I am rereading Fellowship of the Ring and just getting back into Middle Earth because I absolutely love this series, and I love the movies too. But this series is probably my all-time favorite. I am gonna reread Harry Potter after I read Lord of the Rings because that was such a big part of my childhood. I'm gonna go back and revisit it. One of my favorite books. I found a new author last year. She reached out to me on Instagram and asked me like for an arc, and I said yes, and I absolutely fell in love with her writing. She writes Christian new adult, and her first book ever was Letters of Grace. What made her an auto-buy author for me was that she made me cry within the prologue. I'm not big on crying, so if a book has hit me with enough emotion, especially in the prologue, that's amazing. And then I read her second book, which is the second book in this series, and that is Letters of Faith. And once again, she made me cry. I absolutely fell in love with these characters, and her stories are the kind of stories that you can read, and while you're getting broken with the characters, you're also getting healed with the characters as well. So this is the Montgomery Brothers series. She has 2 novellas out for this series. One's Grace Notes, the other is Faith Notes. Please ignore the sounds my dog is making. She's fluffing up her pillow. I do have Faith Notes on order, I just don't have it yet. She also has a new book coming out called More Than Dirt, and that is kind of like based on the Notebook. It gives like big Notebook vibes, so I can't wait to read it, even though I absolutely hate the Notebook. But I love this author's writing so much that I completely trust her. Another book by her is Redemption, and it's also one of the prettiest covers I have, or at least in my opinion, it's one of the prettiest covers. It's not definitely the prettiest, but it's one on my shelf. Again, I cried. This one, I was like, ooh, maybe I can make it through one of her books without crying, but then I hit the halfway, and she started getting me to tear up, and then 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely crying. And I've already reached out to her. There's 2 teenagers in this, because like I said, all of hers are like new adults who you're thinking more 20s, early 30s on that. There's 2 teenagers in here. I'm like, you should do a love story on them because they're just too freaking cute. She's thinking about it, or at least she said she'll think about it. So there's that. Another favorite of mine, this was from middle school. This is one of the books that I had to read for school that I absolutely loved. And I actually got sick during the week that we were reading, well, 2 weeks that we were reading this, and the teacher pretty much gave me the go-ahead to complete the book ahead of everyone else because I had gotten so far in the book that I was way ahead of everybody. And that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I actually had my parents go out and get me a copy of this. This is not the copy that I got in middle school. The copy that I got was a little bit shorter, and it had like 4 boys like right here, and it kind of had one boy's face like right here. Anyway, you don't care about what the cover looked like. I have since lost that copy. I saw this at Walmart, picked it up. Again, I absolutely love The Outsiders. Stay gold, Pony Boy. If you have read that book or any of these books that I'm showing, please let me know if you guys like them in the comments. If you hear a really loud truck, that is my neighbor. So I do have a couple fantasies that I want to share because I'm still reading this series. It's part of the series that I want to finish. One of these I have talked my husband into buddy reading with me, and it is also the book with like the most spice in it that I own. I have to skip quite a lot. And that is the Song of Ice and Fire. I had to think about a For some reason, I always want to say the Song of Fire and Ice. Don't know why, but it's Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. This series, I have no words for the fantasy and the absolute amazing world building. So this is more of the high fantasy, epic fantasy that I like, along with Lord of the Rings. I could do without all the spice in it, but George R.R. Martin wrote that, and yeah, some of the spice plays a very important part into the plot line. Jamie and Cersei, for example. I can't believe Jamie has my name. Thankfully, it is spelled different. Anyway, it is also the first book I ever annotated. All these blue right here are pages where people are unalived. I saw this on Pinterest and I was like, there's no way it has that many. It did. And all the purple are quotes that I liked. The yellow is maps, and then this purple is all the houses and the like appendix. And it gives you like all the building, because there are a lot of characters to this book, and I love when we have a lot of characters, but you gotta make sure that they stick out, because I have read books where there's a lot of characters but I can't remember who's who because it's not very clear, versus like this, yeah, it's very clear on who's who. The next fantasy, I just read this year, at least the first book. I'm working on the second book right now. It is a 4.5 star for me. The reason why I didn't give it a full 5-star is because this book took me 3 tries to get into the book. And yeah, I had to buy the audiobook to get me past like this little hump in the beginning of the book. And then after that, I was like pretty much glued until like 75%, and then I kind of fell off a little bit for me, but then it picked right back up after I read like a page or something. And that is The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I can actually understand now why a lot of people love Brandon Sanderson and why they love his writing and his world building. Also, I went through 4 colored tabs with all the annotations I made. This is my most annotated book on my shelf, and I don't annotate a lot, but this is the most annotated. Finally, I'm gonna end my video with 3 books I have on my shelf that I am absolutely terrified to start reading because they're all hyped up. 2 are classics and 1 is, well, this book is hyped up, but also this author is really hyped up. And then also a challenge that I will be starting in October that will run through December because of a book club I am a part of on Goodreads. They do quarterly challenges, and I got my 4th quarter challenge. And of course, I'm going to be doing books on here, and I'm going to update on how they fit in these challenges. So the first part I said was the 3 books that scare me. The first classic is The Catcher in the Rye. I've seen mixed reviews, and this is by J.D. Salinger. So if you absolutely love this, please let me know why you love it, as long as you're not spoiling anything big. But I missed the English teacher that made us have to read this, so I wasn't forced to read it. But if you absolutely love it, again, please tell me why. And if you didn't like it, please tell me why. The second classic that is stop it. My husband is behind the camera and he's being silly. Second classic is The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, which did we have to read this for high school? You don't remember? Me and my husband can't remember if we had to read this in school, which I don't know if that's bad that we can't remember. We can't read this, but I'm going to try it. I did get a little bit into it, but I am absolutely scared to actually sit down and start this. I may have to buy the audiobook. The last book, which I said is not a classic, but I am a little iffy to start, is because this author is super hyped. This book is super hyped, and that is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I have seen people read this book, I've seen people love her work, and then I've seen people absolutely not like it. So if you've read any of these books that I just said that I'm scared to start, please give me ammunition to start them and at least give them a try. Especially Ruth Ware, as how popular she is. Finally, I said I was going to do a challenge, and that final challenge is dynamic duos. So each duo, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 dynamic duos that are famous. The first one is like Mario and Luigi, and then another one is Bonnie and Clyde, Abbott and Costello, Tom and Jerry. You get the point. Famous duos. And each one has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Each one has 10 prompts underneath it. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this challenge from October 1st to December 31st. That I'm not going to complete every single one of these challenges. I know I'm not. But I'm going to see how many I can knock out between then, and I will keep you guys updated, let you know what book goes under which dynamic duo and what task it completes. So with that being said, thank you for making it through this long video, and I hope you guys stay and watch other videos that I plan on making. And like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna bring anything really unique to BookTube that hasn't been brought before, but let's talk books. Okay, bye.